This will define everything for these two players in particular. Preseason hockey begins in less than a week for the Rangers and is a perfect opportunity for these individuals to step up and make some noise. Will they sink or will they swim? I break it down in just a moment on another sizzling edition of Rangers Digest. Welcome back to Rangers Digest. We are built for blue shirt fandom, and I am your host, Bret Botfeld. It is great to be back with you guys on this wonderful Wednesday, the 17th of September, and it is a very exciting day today here in Rangerland because it is the official start of Rangers training camp. We just ended rookie camp. Not only that, but we are less than a week, just 4 days away until the start of preseason hockey. And not only that, but at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time today, General Manager Chris Drury and Head Coach Mike Sullivan will be speaking to the media, so be on the lookout for coverage of that here on the channel. So we clearly have a lot to get into here today, folks. But before we do that, a quick reminder that about 77% of you who currently watch these videos are still unsubscribed to the channel. So please go down below and hit that free subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it so you can stay up to date with everything happening New York Rangers. Not only that, guys, so you could be part of something special here at Rangers Digest. Let's waste no more time and hop right into today's video. So the New York Rangers begin their long-awaited return to the ice with a new captain, a new patch on their shoulder, and some new prospects trying to fight for a roster spot. The 23-man roster is almost complete at the moment, with the small chance that some up-and-comers might get a crack at making the big leagues. So you can see it right there. The Rangers do have a new captain. They named JT Miller their 29th captain in franchise history yesterday. Very excited about that. A new patch on their shoulder as well. Actually, the first ever jersey patch partner is going to be with Game 7, co-founded by none other than Mark Messier, and it looks absolutely freaking sick. Also, some new prospects trying to fight for a roster spot. So we know that the battle between Brennan Othmann and Brett Berard is going to be a fierce, ferocious battle to see who will secure that third line left wing position. But you could also see that there's a small chance that some up-and-comers might get a crack at the big leagues. We've spoken about Noah Laba and the type of impact he's had in rookie camp. It was obviously, very impressive to see him skating in between Brennan Othmann and Gabe Perreault, and obviously tells us that management is very impressed with this player. But two players I want to focus on here today. One of them is Scott Morrow because, boy, the Rangers have very high hopes for this kid. He was involved in the trade sending K'Andre Miller to Carolina. Morrow enters his first training camp with the Rangers with an eye on trying to crack the third defensive pairing. So he is obviously a favorite to make the opening night roster, but there are no guarantees. He proved it in rookie camp, and he is going to have to continue proving it in training camp here today and then in the preseason on Sunday. Let's take a look at the Puckpedia projections. This is not an exact, measurement of what the lineups are going to look like, but it is a pretty accurate description. And you can see Scott Morrow is on that third pair with Braden Schneider. Gavrikov and Fox we expect to be on that first pair. I believe it's going to be a top 5 defensive duo. Then you have Soucy and Borgen, Schneider and Morrow. Now, Soucy and Borgen, I'm not in love with that pairing. I understand there is some familiarity there between Soucy and Borgen. I understand it could be a shutdown defensive duo. Look, I really love what Borgen brings to the table. He hits people at a high pace. He blocks shots at a high clip. But pairing him with Soucy, I don't love that idea because neither of them have the offensive skill set to handle the puck. Braden Schneider, I don't like on that third pair because I want to see him get more responsibility and not just stuck down on that third pair. So I would like to see him moved up to the second pair, put him with Will Borgen. Like I said, Borgen can't really handle the puck, but Braden Schneider can. He has that offensive upside. So you could put him with Borgen and then Carson Soucy with Scott Morrow because I really love the way Scott Morrow is able to handle the puck very calmly and also has great offensive upside, where Carson Soucy simply doesn't. Chris Drury is hoping and expecting that Carson Soucy will bounce back. When he was acquired by the Rangers at the trade deadline, he was simply a negative, didn't have any impact on the ice, but hopefully he could turn it around And, there is a track record there of solid hockey from Susie, but not with the Rangers. So really hoping to see him turn, his season around and have a good year with the Rangers. Moving on, I want to get into Scott Morrow's stats here. You can see he only played in 14 games this past season. Doesn't have a ton of NHL experience, but he did score 6 points. He stands at 6 feet 2 inches tall, 22 years of age, and 16 minutes of ice time. One thing I will say about Scott Morrow, if he was to continue this pace in an 82-game season, he would have finished second on the Rangers in points behind Adam Fox. In terms of the blue line, even more points than Gavrikov, so you really love that offensive upside from Scott Morrow. Not only that, his first 2 seasons at the University of Massachusetts, he put up 30-plus points, also showed defensive growth his junior year. He is a player that is effective and reliable in all 3 zones. So I really like what I see from Scott Morrow. Another player we have to keep our eyes on is Dylan Garand. Jonathan Quick is giving it another go as he will be 40 years of age during the middle of the season on January 21st. This is why goaltender Dylan Garand has to have a stellar season, as he is likely to be the backup if this is Quick's last season. Guys, Jonathan Quick is going to be 40 years old. He's not getting any younger. Obviously had a tremendous season when the Rangers won the President's Trophy in 2023-2024. Last year started off the season good, but faded down the stretch. Like I said, he's not getting any younger, and the Rangers have to start planning for life after Quickie and who is going to be Igor's next backup. We all expect it to be Dylan Garand. I really love what I've seen from Garand with the Hartford Wolfpack. We see him continuing to get better and better and better. Look at what he did this past season, 20-10 with a 2.73 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. Not only that, guys, but look at what he did in the postseason. He has been absolutely lights out and money in the postseason. The Rangers know a thing or two about that because that's exactly what Igor Shesterkin does in the playoffs. Shows up on prime time. And look at what Dylan Garand has been able to do in the postseason. Look at the 2022-2023 season. He was absolutely sensational. A 1.76 goals against average and a .935 save percentage. Even this past season, he was lights out as well. A 2.59 goals against average and .922 save percentage. The Rangers really need Dylan Garand to be their next backup goaltender to Igor Shesterkin. It's as simple as that. Like I said, I love the improvement and the growth that I've seen from Garand. He's been lights out in the postseason. Obviously has a smaller frame, like Igor Shesterkin. The only difference is obviously Igor has those cat-like reflexes, but nevertheless, I really like what I see from Garand. And like I said, Quick, he's not getting any younger. We're not going to see the Jonathan Quick that we saw, unfortunately in the Stanley Cup against the Rangers when he was with the Los Angeles Kings. And we probably won't even see the Jonathan Quick that we saw when the Rangers won the President's Trophy. But we do need to see a better Jonathan Quick than we saw last year because Igor Shesterkin played in way too many games last year. He played in 62 games. Not only that, but he faced the most shots in the entire NHL, so that is a recipe for disaster. So if the Rangers want Igor to be at his best, their backup situation has to be on point because he can't play in as many games as he played in last year, and he also can't face as many shots as he faced last year. A couple more things I want to get into. Brendan Othman spoke last night about JT Miller getting the C. JT is the type of player I look up to. I think that's the type of player I see myself playing like in a few years. He leads by example. Every team in the NHL would want a guy like JT on their team. That's very encouraging to see a young player like Brendan Othman really embracing JT Miller. And, he got a bad rep in Vancouver, but I think it's all nonsense. I love what I've seen from JT Miller since he's been a Ranger. The production has been off the charts. He was an over point per game player after the trade. I love the type of fire and desire that he plays with, so I really believe it was the right move for the Rangers. But leave your thoughts below. What do you expect to see from the Rangers in training camp? Do you think Scott Morrow is definitely going to make the team? Do you think Dylan Garand is going to be Igor Shesterkin's backup as soon as this season? Or do you expect Jonathan Quick to last the entire year? Leave your comments down below. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. And if you still haven't hit that free subscribe button, hit that button so you can stay up to date with everything happening New York Rangers.